Hello and welcome to another video, and I'm sorry I have not been uploading these past 2 weeks. I've been sick, so I'm sorry, but I'm heading out of that now, so hopefully I can start going back to uploading. And today I'll be breaking down Winston, covering his weapons abilities, which situations he should be used for and which situations you should avoid using him. Winston is a tank character with 400 health and 100 armor. Couple this with a large head hitbox size, Winston's the weakest tank in terms of soaking up damage. He can get melted very quickly. He does however have a lot of mobility and abilities, which I'll get into later. But first off, Winston's primary weapon is the Tesla cannon, which does very low damage, so he's got bad health and bad damage. That's great. It deals 3 damage per shot and fires 20 times a second, so that's 60 DPS. He only has 100 ammo and it runs out really quickly before having to reload, which takes a fairly average time to do so at 1.5 seconds. So because of this ammo limitation you have in a fight, make sure to always reload whenever you aren't shooting. Say if like a Genji does a dash away and you start chasing, that's a good time to reload. And if you do run out of ammo before getting your kill, which happens quite a lot, always go for the melee finish. Because the damage is so low, when you're fighting armor, his damage is straight up halved, only dealing 30 DPS versus armor, so because of this, I suggest avoiding to attack anything that has armor. His first ability is the jump back. This launches him into any direction you're looking at. You could be falling off a cliff, but as long as you're looking up, you can jump straight back up onto the ledge. Upon landing, it will do up to 50 damage if the enemy is close enough. It's also worth noting it does 1 damage if the enemy stood right next to you when you take off. That's not really useful, but it happens for some reason. The jump back also has a very short 6-second cooldown and is Winston's primary method of just getting around. It's very useful for getting into the fray and back out. Next is his barrier projector, which creates a spherical barrier that blocks incoming fire, pretty much exactly the same as Reinhardt's barrier. Normal attacks that go through Reinhardt's barrier as well go through this one. Enemy movement, some lasers like Winston's laser, and fire strike from Reinhardt, they'll all go through it. The barrier lasts 6 seconds and has 600 health. When the 6 seconds is up or the health is depleted, it'll disappear and start to recharge, which takes 13 seconds. When deployed, it will fall directly down on the ground and carries no sideways momentum, so be careful when activating this mid-jump pack as you may land outside of its safety, which I've done many times and it's caused me to die, so be careful of that. To best use the 2 abilities, you jump into the fight from a safe place, deploy your barrier the moment before you land, and then you can fight for 6 seconds in and around your barrier, putting it between you and your target. And then at this point you'll get your jump pack back after 6 seconds, and the barrier will go down. This is your time to jump back out, preferably towards some good healing stations, and then just rinse and repeat that, and that's all there is to Winston. Jump in, deploy your barrier, fight for 6 seconds, once 6 seconds is up, jump out, heal, and then repeat. It doesn't matter if you don't get a kill because you're distracting your target for 6 seconds, taking them out of the fight, whether it be a sniper or a support. So you're stopping them from doing their job for a full 6 seconds, which is pretty much Winston's job, and if you can get the kill then that's great. Finally, his ultimate Primal Rage. It recharges as you deal damage to enemies. Primal Rage lasts 10 seconds, you do 40 damage a swing and can swing 1.8 times a second, so DPS, again, still very low. When activating Primal Rage you do receive up to 1000 hit points. You lose your Tesla cannon and instead get to melee enemies with your fists, which does cause tremendous knockback, so go for those environmental kills. When you activate Primal Rage, your jump pack gets replaced with a unique version that only has a 3-second cooldown, so it's best to use your jump pack towards an enemy, activate Primal Rage, then you can immediately jump again. It's also worth noting you can't deploy the barrier, so use that prior to activating Primal Rage as well. The goal of Primal Rage is to soak up as much damage as possible, so your team can fire back without issues. So just try and spread around the other team as far apart as possible, just aggravating them, causing to focus you, so your team can get all the free kills. Only use your ult when your team are nearby, don't use it by yourself, that's kind of a waste because it is low damage. To get the best out of it, jump in, fight until you have low health, then jump again. If you can, deploy your barrier as you land, and activate the ult to get your 1000 hit points back. Have your barrier protecting you, then you can knock the other team around as much as possible. Don't worry about gills, that's your team's job, as I say. Doing this allows you to take 400 damage initially, giving you about 100 left as kind of insurance when you activate your ult. You don't want to leave it too late, otherwise you might end up dying before it can activate. You get your 600 damage from the barrier and then the 1000 from the primal rage, effectively giving you around 2000 hit points in a single fight, which is the highest of any character. So make sure to always jump back at the end of your ult, because you'll get the standard jump back fully charged, allowing you to jump again a second time immediately. The targets you should focus as Winston are supports, and that is your primary goal, just to kill the supports. Lucios, Zenyatas, Symmetras, and Mercies. You can kill any of them. They're pretty easy pickings for Winston just because of his lasers so reliable at hitting. And even if you can't finish them off, you can jump out, heal, and then jump back in. You are distracting them, stopping them from being able to do anything. Zenyatta can't spread around his orbs when he's trying to fight you, and most of the time Winston will beat him, so that kind of thing. You are still a major distraction, even if you can't pick up the kill. Targets you should avoid are shotgun heroes and snipers. Snipers only at range. If you can get close to them without taking too much damage, then that's pretty much a free kill. But just be really careful. If you jump directly at a Widowmaker, if they're good enough, say on PC, they can easily pull off that headshot doing 300 damage, and you don't want that. They can then easily beat you in close range. So if you get close to them without taking much damage, then snipers are a free kill as well. Otherwise, tend to avoid their line of sight. But with shotgun heroes, you've got no ranged attack, and they tend to have more range than you and pump out a lot more damage. So just avoid Reaper, McCree, and Roadhog at all costs. And if the other team end up repicking up to 3 shotgun heroes, then you're doing your job right. You are annoying them enough to the point where they repick up to 3 times. So that's really good. At that point though, it's best to just repick yourself as a different hero, since you do lose effectiveness if 50% of the other team directly counter you. Also, if the other team have a Bastion, it's worth just repicking there and then. Bastion is a hard counter to Winston, pretty much the hardest counter of any hero to hero in the game. Like, there's nothing a Winston can do to a Bastion. It takes over 6 seconds for Winston to kill Bastion from full health. It takes Bastion half a second to kill Winston, so just don't try. Bastion's gonna win. Just either fight a completely different area of the map if you can, or just pick a different hero. So that's been my guide to Winston. I tried to incorporate more gameplay tips this time around, so feedback on that would be great. Sorry for being ill and fluffing up some words. Not much I can do about that. Comment below on what hero you'd like next. Otherwise, Zarya, Junkrat, or Roadhog will be next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.